Hey guys, Omar here, and today we're talking about the charm of shooting with wide, fast lenses. Now, what does that actually mean for those of you that don't know? Well, wide means a large field of view, a big angle. How do you not know what that means? Wide, everyone knows. Now, what about the fast part? Well, the fast part has to do with how wide your aperture opens. So anything like f2, 1.8, and this is great because it gathers a lot more light into your camera and you can keep your ISOs down. But it also, and that's the charm of some of these lenses, if you get close to things, it actually gives you a nice little effect that you can't really get from any zoom lenses usually. Now, most fast wide lenses are prime lenses, and this is why it's really tough because, you have to really want to invest in one of these lenses because they're specialty lenses for sure. But most of them are prime lenses because of physics and magic. But to have a zoom lens, you can't have like a 14 to 30 millimeter 1.4. It would probably be ginormous and heavy. So there aren't too many zooms that are very, very fast. Most of them are primes. Now this lens right here is a 14 to 30, but it's not super fast like these. This is an f4. However, it is super useful because it's so versatile. And you don't always have to shoot wide open. Like this is great at f4, 5.6. So I love this lens. I use this all the time. But when I want that little extra special something, I will turn to lenses that are primes and very wide, f2 or 1.8. So what's the charm with these fast wide lenses? Well, it depends how close you are to your subject, but because if you're further back, you won't see the effect. But the closer you get to your subject, the more you get this great separation from the background, but a lot of information, but sharpness right where the focus point is. And so you get a cool look and it changes with your distance. And so one of my favorite ways is during reception, is to throw on a wide prime and try to get great moments. And it really helps if you shoot with depth. So you have a little foreground element and you definitely have distance in the background and you're shooting very wide. You get a very cool effect. Now, actually, this video is being shot with a wide fast lens. This is the Sony 20 millimeter 1.8, which is one of my favorite lenses. This guy is like the perfect design for a lens. It's small, it's light, it's sharp, it goes to 1.8, and it has an aperture wheel that you can make clickable or unclickable as a function button on it. So this is a fantastic lens, this 20 millimeter 1.8. Now for my APS-C Fujifilm, I've talked about this lens many times on this channel, and I still have it. This is when I first started my channel. This probably was the second lens I bought. This is the Rokinon 12 millimeter f2, which is a manual focus lens, but it also has the charm of wide and fast. If you get close to objects, you just get a very cool look. And so the f2 on this is really great. Now it is a 12 millimeter, which sounds really wide, but the field of view on a crop sensor camera is more like 18 millimeter. So this is like an 18 millimeter f2-ish, but very fun lens. All right, next up we have the Nikon 20 millimeter 1.8 wide and fast. Now this is a great lens because obviously optically it's a great lens, but it's missing some of the features that I love on the Sony. There is no aperture ring, there is no function button on this, there is no function wheel on this. All there is this very large manual focus ring. It's like if you want a minimalist design for a lens and you like that, this is pretty much up your alley. But I like a little functionality, especially the aperture ring is very useful. So when I'm shooting an event, I'm always choosing between the 14 to 30 or the 20 millimeter. The 14 to 30 for sure is more versatile, especially if you zoom into 30, you get a more compressed look. This one is more useful for events. But for the charm factor, I will grab the 20 millimeter 1.8, even though I don't love its design as much as the Sony. Which brings us to the lens that kind of combines the Nikon and the Sony's design. This is the Viltrox 16 millimeter 1.8. Very wide and very fast. Now this lens has already actually been released for the Sony system, but this is the Nikon Z version, And Viltrox actually sent me this lens. I usually say no to most stuff, but when they when they said they had a wide, fast lens to try it, I was like, yeah. You like? All right, so design-wise, this has everything I like about the Sony. So it has an aperture wheel that's clickable, but you can also make it unclickable. It has an autofocus manual focus switch. Now it's kind of dumb that we're saying that, but there are lenses like this Tamron 17 to 28, which is a fantastic lens. Not super fast, very versatile though, but it doesn't have a autofocus manual focus switch, which sometimes is a little bit of a pain. Now the construction on this lens is fantastic, and it has like this little readout out here which shows you your distances, which is really great. Now this lens has a pretty cool feature that I haven't seen in other lenses. It has a function button. You can preset focus distances, almost like the snap focus feature that you find on Ricoh GR cameras. Ricoh little GR cameras, you can have a setting that you have a predetermined distance that you focus to. It's called snap focus, which is really helpful when you're doing street photography. So this has it, and you can set the distance on the little window, and it could be something really close here, and then you can have something that's really far, and you just hit that little function button and the camera will go to that exact distance. Now, although I love my 20 millimeters, it's kind of fun that this one goes to 16 millimeters, especially if I shoot it on the Nikon Z8, which has a little bit more megapixels. You can get a little bit wider. You know, if you want less distortion on the sides, you can actually crop in a little bit, make it a 20 if you need. I just love that it goes to 1.8. So when you're close up to your subjects, you just get some wacky shots. Now 16 millimeters is great on full frame, but this also could be a great crop sensor because it becomes a 24 millimeter 1.8, which is still fantastic for the crop sensor. It has a minimum focus distance of 27 millimeters, which is about 10, I wrote it here, you know, I didn't know it, 10.6 inches. And that again gives you a very, like if you had an insect on a leaf, you know, you could just make the background forest very blurry. And also for video, I found that this lens is a good option. It's probably not as versatile, of course, as the 14 to 30 for video. I just think that this has a really great look. So I did a little vlog with it. I hear a bird. Man, with action camera footage being so terrible, it's really nice, you know, when if you're you can't bring this snowboarding, obviously, or strap it to your chest, but if you're vlogging with an action camera and then you see this, it's just really wide, really immersive, and you don't have to be like in the camera like this all the time. Let's do a little hiking here with this lens. See if it compares to the GoPro stabilization. Probably not. Also, the price is great. The price on most Viltrox lenses is usually a lot lower than the, you know, the native lenses like this 20 millimeter 1.8 or the Sony 20 millimeter 1.8. So you get a good price on it for those of you that are on a little tighter budget. I would say my one negative with this lens is it's a little tight to put on. It could be the weather gasket seal on there, but it definitely is a little stiffer to click onto your Nikon body than the native lenses are. So just something to be ready for. So remember, if you're bored, just go wide and fast. All right, I'll see you guys next time.